Once again, you are heartily welcome back to the program Press Brief. And for presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Tabot. We start with the Sun newspaper from Limbe, the paper of Norbert Wasso. For this day, it says shocking truth about Bamenda main market fire disaster. According to the intrigue cases done by that paper, in-depth analysis and investigation that she carried out. You can find more on that paper of the Sun for today. And that's the Sun paper. It talks of Forestry Minister Jean Doren Dongo says Cameroon to finally stop exportation of timber products in 2027. Oh, sorry, of timber, not the products of timber in 2027. And in that said paper, the paper reports on Promoter. It says Promoter Group commits to invest 1 billion CFA francs for the firefighting units to be set up in the city of Douala. You get to read details on that story on that publication of the Sun for today. From the Sun viewers, we move over to the next paper for today. Municipal updates of Victor Cham talks of Archbishop Andrew Nkea to Bamenda fire victims. Don't give up. That was the word of encouragement from the Bishop of the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province, Andrew Nkea. We crossed over to this other one, tampering Cameroon's economic growth. Senator Ikokom Okete says Bia's import substitution policy vital. And we move over to northwest, southwest regions where 25 schools suffer from attacks from the separatists in 2023, according to OCHA. Let's take you now to Le Messager. He talks of l'Église Presbyterienne Camerounaise. He says Paul who persecutes pastors, making reference to the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji. Away from that Tanganji situation, we crossed over to the Council of Bacham, where the mandate of illegality reigns, according to page 3 on Le Messager for today. Transportation fare in the country, the government prioritizes the back and forth system. You can find more on that publication of Le Messager for today. Tepromi Hebdo for this morning talks of the salary increase and family allowance increase to civil servants of the country, a gesture from President Paul Biya. The administration of justice talks of the urgency on that after the justice meeting that was championed by the president of the Cameroon Supreme Court, Justice Sone. We move over now to La Meteo for today. It talks of loyalty by following the person who leads. You can find details on the special relationship between Ferdinand Gongo and President Paul Biya. Away from La Meteo viewers, let's move over to Emergence Quotidien for today. Emergence Quotidien report on the urban and interurban transportation fare. It says the new transportation fare that has gone official by the government of Cameroon, as it was stipulated by the Minister of Trade, Luke Braga Tangana. In that said paper, the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, how the Kenyan athlete would later on died. The paper gives the circumstances leading to his demise. Quotidian Economy for this morning reports on the cocoa sector, the exporting of Cameroon cocoa to the European Union now comes with conditions. You can find more on the conditions that have been put in place, and we take you now to recognitions where some 287 workers of the CBC has been honored for their hard work. Integration newspaper for this morning comes back to just ended international business fair in Yaoundé known as Promote. It says they conduct they just ended Promote affair, as the paper titles that as the film conducted of businesses. You can find more on that publication for today. We will moving over to Informa 10 for today. Informa 10 talks of the increase in the interurban transportation fare, how the government finally succumbed to pressure from the various transportation syndicates in the country. Press governance for today talks of the take of the city mayor of Yaoundé, Luke Messi at Tanganang, when it comes to the development of the town of Yaoundé. Then expulsion. The paper report on the Cambe bomb blast. It says the justice for victims following the press conference that was held by the Cameroonian lawyer residing in the US of A, who is pressing hard for warlords in foreign European nations and the Americas to be brought to book. Loju for this morning talks of criminality in the forestry sector, how 2,000 pangolins were killed from 2022 to 2023. You can find details on that story on Loju newspaper for today. Olympic Games 2024, how the Indomitable Lionesses have been voted out of that competition by the Super Falcons of Nigeria, who qualified yesterday as they beat the Indomitable Lionesses in a 1-0 victory of a game that was played. Politics, the union for the majority of parliament sees this day. Mita Siong newspaper talks of the teaching corps. It says the sanctions or the titles that as the squabbling sanctions. You can find more on that paper for today. Performance of government when it comes to the extractive mineral industry talks of the take of the interim minister of mines and technological development, Fukalitus Gentry. Innovation newspaper reports on the Cameroon Bar Council General Assembly by the General Assembly President Barrister Eve Glass-Kono, who says every lawyer is highly awaited for the General Assembly of the Cameroon Bar Association that will be taking place in Douala. In that said paper, the paper reports on the export rate between Cameroon and the Netherlands that is now getting better and better. And the Lom and Jerome Division, the paper reports on the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, CERAC, headed by Madame Chantal Biya, who comes to the needs of some less privileged persons. And we cross over to the reporter for today. The reporter for this morning report on the CAP honors in Cameroon, this international business engagement that is unfolding in Paris, France, according to Le Reporter for today. Cameroon Tribune for this morning reports on the new urban and inter-urban transportation fare put in place by the government of Cameroon. Olympic Games Paris qualifiers 2024. Lionesses' dreams shattered by the Super Falcons of Nigeria. The Garouabula in the East region, the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, CERAC, boosts livelihoods according to that paper for this day. We move over to the dossiers or documents from the President of the Republic. What are they all about? Get a copy of Per Ufaz for today. Le Témoin newspaper for this morning reports on the loyalty of the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, and the fake news where posters of him were being circulated that he'll be running for the 2025 presidential elections. And the Cameroon Volleyball Federation, known in French as FICA Volley, Serge Abouem, reassures. Camer Press for this day talks of maritime transport sector in the country. The Douala Port Authority comes out with her own thumbs up. You can find more on that paper for today. And for our show for this morning, reports come to an opportunity for Cameroon, not the presidency who needs to have an opportunity. Get to read more on that paper for today. Daily Mirror for today talks of mirror investigation. 100 kids a day are victims of sick online blackmailers, and in that said paper, Everton win on point. You can find more on that publication for today. We cross over to Vanguard. Vanguard for today says hardship ahead of NLC rally protest rocks a Edo, Lagos, Osun states of Nigeria. And Edo Gabe Adausamen petition Gabaju wants Omasima to report upheld, and Nigeria will work if Southeast worked optimally, according to the Vice President of Nigeria, Shetima. Political risks, regulatory concern threatens infrastructure funds. Get to read details on page 25 on that paper of Vanguard. From Vanguard, we cross over to the Punch. The Punch says 12 years after Tinubu adopts Orasia report merges agencies, and in that said paper, please deploy anti-riot squads as NLC holds protests today all across Nigeria. Ogun, Kogi, Taraba governors felicit the Punch newspaper, who celebrates her 50th anniversary of non-stop publication of that set newspaper. We take you to the sports paper. Punch Sports Extra talks of Akin Siro, and in that set publication, Paris Saint-Germain will learn to play without their key wonder boy, that is Kylian Mbappe of Cameroonian origin. And Victor Osimhen transfer boost for Chelsea, Arsenal. And we move over to this other story that says Spurs taps on a Bossele. Get to read more on that set paper for today. We remain with the Nigerian tabloid, this time around with a copy of The Nation. The Nation says many federal government agencies are at department to go in major rejig and ways out of economic crisis, according to the Nigerian Trade Union. And we move over to Supreme Court gets full complement of 21 judges. And let's take you now to the next story. Southwest speakers demand state police power devolution, and FEC approve 1.07 trillion naira for Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. We move over to the international tabloids. This time around, we'll make a stop over with Financial Times for this day. It talks of global house price downturn shows signs of reversal as rate cuts hope rise, and REN seeks payback from Boeing as delivery delays threatens schedule. We'll take you to Daily Star. It says sing for your super, and it's Brass Monkey, and Everton back of net. You can find more on that paper of Daily Star. With Daily Star viewers, this is where we'll put a stop on the first segment of the program, but do not move a muscle. We'll be back with our reviewer for the second part of the program immediately after this. Hello there, viewers of High Television. You're all welcome back to the second segment of the program reserved for our reviewer. Our reviewer for this morning is a journalist par excellence, a sport journalist from one of the radio stations in the Southwest region, that is Eternity Gospel Radio. That is Joseph Epie, who joins us for today's program. Good morning to you, Joseph.
Good morning, Larry, and good morning to all our audience out there.
Alright, we move over to business with municipal updates. Municipal update says Archbishop Andrew Nkiatu Bamenda main market fire victims don't give up.
For sure, it's a message of hope, a trip to make these people understand that okay, it's true your products and your goods have all been grazed down by fire, but that's not the end of the road. And to me, it is a message of hope, but what is it going to come with? Because it's being said in Pidgin that empty hand they go for mob. I expect to see an extra move by the church. It is true the church is not a philanthropic organization, but the church can to an extent help these spaces, even though not all. But I think with some kind of basic needs for them to start, because the people who were expecting some kind of sustenance from these businesses that have all been grazed down. So I expect the church to go an extra mile in helping these people who have been affected, if not all, but some, but on their feet.
All right, still in that set paper of municipal updates, it says Senator Ekoko Mokete, the foot or the paramount ruler of the Bafors from Kumba, says Bia's import substitution policy vital.
They say he'll speed the paper detects tone. If we could see the paramount chief actually saying that, and a senator as well, then he believes President Paul Biya has what it takes for import and substitute a vital policy, meaning he has been able to understand that in as much as Cameroonians may not understand what it actually means for this particular policy, he understands it more better. But Larry, I'm still worried with this same issue of our senators. They are the ones who understand these things more than us, the common man. So it doesn't suffice you just saying that it is a vital role, but the common man out there understand what it means. And until they understand what it means by this particular policy, it will only be word for those in the top government positions. So it must be broken down for the common man to understand and see how they can benefit from it.
All right. We remain with that paper of municipal update of Victor Bamacham. We take you now to the ear section of the paper that says Southwest Northwest 25 schools suffered attacks in 2023 according to the non-profit organization for the Central African region known as OCHA.
For sure, it is not a good statistic so far given the ongoing crisis and everything, but this is a call for the government to see how they can actually restore peace to both Northwest and also the Southwest regions. But education becomes a pivotal role for any growing nation. And the UN law says that issues like places like schools, hospitals should not be attacked during crisis affected period. But in Cameroon, we see it being the order of the day on every given occasion. So I think that the government needs to see how they can reduce this number, and that can only be on the table of peace.
Okay, we move away from municipal update. Let's take a stop over with the Sun newspaper, the paper from Limbe, the Sun newspaper of Nobedwaso for those days is shocking truths about the Bamenda main market fire disaster that occurred over the weekend.
For sure, when the fire came out, many people never understood what it would cause. Many people were giving different objectives or different reasons why there was a fire outbreak. But today we are hearing of expired fire extinguishers, overcrowded market block, and everything. So I see that the media is playing a good role in terms of digging out what the people need to know, because most Cameroonians will just think, oh, maybe it was an attack, maybe it was a short circuit. But I believe and I expect that this is their own part of the story. We expect the market officials to give us what actually happened on that fateful day. Why was there that fire, and what can be done to prevent it? Because it is one thing to know the cause and another thing to give preventives. So we have now known the cause on one side, but what can be done to ensure that in the nearest future such things don't happen remains a question for another day.
All right, we move over to sports. You are a sport journalist. Hitch-free Mount Cameroon Race of Hope ends on sad note as Kenyan athlete dies.
For Larry, that was a painful day for me particularly. I was at Hot 2 covering the race for my media organ, and upon reaching the police roundabout, I was being told that an athlete had died. I was shocked and I was stunned. Like, how did it happen? Because we saw all these athletes going up, they were all okay. Coming down, they were all okay. And getting to hear an athlete and a foreigner died in Cameroon, I don't think it was a good image for the federation. But it is sport, it's athletics, and such things will happen. But again, I expect that before an athlete goes in for a tournament like this, there should be a medical check-up on a particular person. Because Larry, I was at the Mulikomi Sports Stadium on the day before the mountain race, and athletes were still being registered to run the race without being checked if they are fit. And I think that's one thing the federation must see, that before 1 week to the currently, I got to find out that many media organs were confused with who actually died, because of the fact that these players and the list given to the media never had the JC number corresponding to the athletes.
Sure.
And I think that is a loophole on the part of the Athletic Federation, and I expect them to become, but they're doing a great job, that's good. but next year one more from them. Kudos and sorry to the Kenyan Athletic Federations.
All right, to remain with the Cameroon Race of Hope this time around, we will be talking on the fanfare and how the tournament and security was key.
The Moliko Sports Stadium was not as it used to be in yesteryears. I think there was a transfer from Moliko to Boya Town. But the police gone about, according to my correspondent, we had businessmen who were there selling. The fans were there, supporters were there to sell and to also make business on a particular day. But I think that the government can still do more better. And that is what giving peace a chance. Dialogue. Because if there is dialogue, people who may escape to come and sell or to come and buy. I think if we can have a peaceful dialogue, then the mountain race will become as it used to be in yesteryears.
All right, let's take you to page 2 on the Sun for today. It says Forestry Minister Jean Dorendungu says Cameroon to finally stop exporting of timber in 2027. Isn't this something laudable, because we always hold the government to account for we not being able to produce anything here in the country, as even toothpick is being imported from China. But this time around he came out to say by 2027 the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife will stop exporting timber to European nations and the Americas.
Larry, the question is, by that time, will we still have enough timbers in Cameroon? That's the question. It's a matter of saying by that time, because if we keep on exploiting and exporting our raw materials, then when we have been able to create our own industries, will there be enough raw materials for us to actually transform the finished goods? And until this answered, I think it is not the right move or a statement from the minister, because we need to see how we can start promoting our own locally made products rather than like what you said, toothpick is not coming from China, which I expect them to see how they can make use of our own raw materials. Because if you are giving that before that time, I bet you those who are doing the exporting now will not want to go without something, and they want to export as many as they can because the time is on their side. So the government should see how they can. Why not reduce that particular time frame and invest more on making our country an exporter rather than an importer of finished products?
Okay, from Limbe we cross over to Yaoundé with Loju. Loju for today talks of criminality in the forestry sector. It says more than 2,000 pangolins have been killed from 2022 to 2023.
And you ask yourself, what is the function of the forestry guards who are employed and responsible for security in our forestry? And that again falls back to the fact that we implement laws, but these laws are not being well effected or being well applied, because we can't say that we are struggling to harness and in particular animals for posterity, and slowly but surely 2,000 of them are actually disappearing. And ask a question, what will posterity get to see? Will it only be on pictures or on story? I expect them to become more serious and the government to see how they can actually protect our ecosystem, because these animals are slowly but surely going extinct. And if we don't keep them for posterity, we will only let our children of there was once upon a time when this thing exists. And the government must see that they give us security and protect them. If not, in our reserves, like we have the Limbe, we have the others, they should be kept in the reserve for posterity's sake.
All right. We move away from forestry and the poaching of pangolins that are endangered species in Cameroon and around the world to talk something else. We talk sports with the upcoming Paris Summer Olympics that will be coming up in no distant time. Indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon are eliminated from their way to Paris 2024 by the Super Falcons of Nigeria, who held them in a 1-0 victory game that was played yesterday as the Nigerian striker Okonkwo scored a long goal.
Yeah, I think from two angles. For the past 12 months, football in Cameroon has not been the best for the women's section. Missing out of the World Cup qualifiers, missing out of the AFCON qualifiers, and now they're in Paris Olympics. But Larry, unlike I'm a sports journalist, I will not want to say that they have not been doing well. They have been doing their very best.
Okay.
Like Coach Jean-Baptiste Bissek. Looking at the squad I saw yesterday against Nigeria, considering just a goal, I can bet you this team is still in progress. Though it is slow, yes, I understand Cameroonians want the now syndrome, want it now. But I bet you the issue is that Cameroon football, we are still looking at that transition. Can the old players leave for the new to take over? That's not it won't come as it used to be in yesteryears. It's a slow process. But I expect the coach to actually learn from his mistakes. Going for these young players that we are seeing, they should become more fighting as we saw them play in the AFCON. And if
and
they
the
are
World Cup even.
at the World Cup even, and if we are able to see that, yesterday I got a post and one man came and said we need Carl Leon Gachu back. I said no, Gachu is doing well at foot. Let's trust Baptiste Bissek to give these girls what they need. And if we are able to believe in our own, I bet you, with what I saw yesterday, Cameroon football will come back to limelight.
All right, let's dwell on the past glory of the Indomitable Lionesses with the former coach, the former coach Ngachu, when he was the head coach of these girls. We saw how they were excelling, both at the Continental and the global perspective, as he took the team to finals of the AFCON, the women AFCON. You went to the women World Cup, and they performed quite well. But with the coming of Bissek, and you see the dwindling fortune, where it's like from frying pan to fire.
Well, Larry, I understand where you're coming from, but when you look at the Cameroon national team, the women's section, I find pleasure in two coaches so far. That is the likes of Enon Gachu and Joseph Ndoko. They have done tremendously well with the national team in ensuring that these particular ladies have the best. But now, with the coming of these other coaches, like I said before, they are looking at a means of transition from the old players to the new players, and that won't come on a particular sport. It is a particular process. It is true, Onkene is a good player, but she's old. Ajara is good, but she's not the Ajara we saw under Ngachu, under Joseph Ndoko. And now we are seeing a young Brenda, we are seeing a young Eto, and these girls are still coming up, and it would be unfair and unwise for us to take a complete new squad to an AFCON or to a World Cup without them learning from their young or from their seniors. So that's what I find difficult with Bissek, wanting to blend the old and the new and transit from the old to the new system without letting any player feel unwanted or unneeded in a particular squad, and that will take time, Larry.
Okay, we move away from sports. We take you now to a quotidian emergence for today. A report on the urban transport sector and the interurban transport sector after the communique from the Minister of Trade, Lungmaraga Braga Tanang, yesterday, will stipulate that there have been an increase in the transportation fare, as now a drop of a taxi drop stands at 350 francs, and they depending on the kilometers that you're going to cover, equally have an increase too. So what do you make of this increase of fuel pump prices and now the increase of transportation fare in the country?
As the last time, what is the role of a consumer in Cameroon? Because we don't see them coming out. The truth is that the government will always make proposals to make the people feel better. But the people have a voice to ask questions. Why now? Because if it's already increased, today I have to pay 200 francs from Beno Bakery, 2 checkpoints for 500 francs. Now, what happens to the common man who can't actually afford a particular amount? People will be forced to trekking long distances and begging for taxi. It's not the taxi driver's fault, but I expect this particular union to ask government questions, because if people all say we won't take taxis again, I bet you there's going to be a revolution, which we don't want in Cameroon, because we know in Cameroon when people strike there's always casualties.
Yeah.
But I expect the government to actually have a dialogue with these syndicates, talk to them, explain to them why things are being increased, how long will it be, because in Cameroon it's like for eternity. So there should be an explanation on how long will it be, and okay, if it's going to be an increase, then the people know, okay, there is going to be an increase in also their income being earned at their workplaces, and that is a whole discussion which needs to come between the employers, the syndicates, and also the government.
Okay, on the ES section of Quotidian Emergence on page 11, a report on the failure of the Cameroon Athletic Federation from preventing the gentleman from Kenya from dying. So let's just dwell on this. How come that the federation was unable to detect the health challenge of this gentleman and prevent him from not taking the race?
Like I said, it was shocking that athletes are registering on the eve of the mountain race. I'm not saying that Kenya was among them, but what I saw on that fateful Friday, I was surprised, because a list has already been sent to the media, and people are still registering to run a mountain race. How much we have to check these athletes to see if they are okay? Now, this athlete took a 16th position and had an attack and died some minutes later. I don't want to blame it all on the federation, because it's impossible for a foreign athlete to leave his country and take part in a race without him being checked by his own government and the Cameroon government. The question is, how effective was this particular test? Was it done in haste or it was done properly? What did the federation do? Because when this particular rumor came out that an athlete had died, the issue of the name of the athlete was a big question. Who died? Was it a person who was leading the first from the summit right up to Bunduma who had died, or was it another Kenyan? So the fact that the Athletic Federation failed in its responsibility in giving out an adequate list to the media, having the JC number of the athletes, also was a failure. And now for the Kenyan athlete to die, I think that the federation, even though they went into doing medical screening, maybe it was not enough or it was not efficient to detect this player is unfit for the race.
All right, we'll move away from that. We cross over to message for today. The message talks of Église Presbyterian Cameroonese. He says Paul will persecute pastors. We are talking on the Minister of Church Administration because he has just passed a, how can I put it, a decree or something of that magnitude towards the some pastors of the Église Presbyterian Cameroonese. We saw him with the Église Evangelique du Cameroon, where he had shown how we equally saw how one of the church houses in the electoral region was being sealed by a district officer, DO as they call it locally. So what is wrong with Paul Atanganje flexing his muscle on the church?
Well, Larry, a wise man once said, if you don't take care of a bucket in your house, a visitor will not take care of it. This crisis of the EGC has been long for more than 5 years to my remembrance so far. It's not a matter of starting it now. I've been hearing it countlessly of Christians not a particular pastor in this church or in this branch, and it has been going on and on. And the government who is in charge of maintaining national peace must step in. And if the minister is stepping in, many people think it is wrong because this is the church and its politics.
Yeah.
But I expect that for a government wanting to ensure national peace, peace gets across, and the church is one of the bodies in any nation that can either instigate violence or protect peace. And for the minister to step in up to the extent of locking down a church or putting a seal on it, it shows that this particular issue has been going on for a good number of time. And like what they say in Pidgin, the rope has been pulled up to the extent where it cannot be pulled anymore, and the government must step in. And if the worst comes to the worst, don't be surprised that more branches are going to be shut down because peace is needed in churches today.
We saw the situation of the Catholic Church in Nigeria, where the Pope Francis actually, but the people say this man is not from it's not our tribesman, so we will not want him. And we saw in southeastern parts of Nigeria, the Igbo land, we saw for the riots and the protests from the Catholic Christians in that diocese of the southeast of Nigeria, until the Vatican had to recall the bishop, and that diocese had to be there without a bishop.
Like I said before, the church has a power to either make or mar peace in society. So if the church says we don't want this pastor, and the body says the pastor must be there, I bet you the government must step in, because these people, before the people become Christians, they are under the government for them to be protected, and the government must always ensure that the people's voices are being heard. Now, there is no need for me being in a church where I have an AHF for the pastor. Whatever he says, I won't listen to him, because that animosity is already there. And so, the church, like I said before, has a crucial role in maintaining peace in the society. And for peace to be maintained, there must be understanding between the churches and also their pastors. And the members said they don't want this pastor in their church countlessly for more than 2 years. Larry, I bet you any government in the world must step in, because you never can tell what will happen in the nearest future.
All right, we move away from that story. Let's make a stop over now to one of the papers we are having for today. I think we should be moving over to the Guardian Post. Yeah, the Guardian Post for this day, the paper of Christian Gar for today. The Guardian Post have as lead story. I'm having some difficulties with the Guardian Post for this morning, but I think this is the Guardian Post for today. If the Guardian Post is not ready, let's cross over to the next paper for today. That is okay. That's the Guardian Post. It says the paper reports on the UDC chairman, that is Lawan Bako, who sympathizes with the victims of the Bamenda main market, and he urges all to for the needful to be done. What do you make of that announcement from that presidential majority affiliates?
Now, when you hear someone like El Haji Bako saying that the needful to be done, what is the needful? Is it going to be more security in the market? Is it going to be more fire extinguishers? Is it going to be proper wiring of cables? I think it is too vague for the, someone like this. And when I read through it, I was like, is this a move towards a campaign strategy for upcoming presidential election? Because we expect political parties like this, non-religious organizations, and even Christian organizations to show sympathy to these people by making a move. Because if you are saying it should be done, who needs to do it? And if you love your people, I think it's the right time for you to show them how much you care about them. Like I said before, under the likes of Andrew Kia, you must not do it for everybody. But the small you do is going to be appreciated by the majority.
Sure.
So, if you are saying that it needs to be done, who has to do it? It is the government, and we are all the government. So, you must contribute your own quota, ensuring that you the lives of many. Minus politics, you are a Cameroonian. So, go above or with outside your comfort zone and see how you can touch a life or two of those affected from a particular fire disaster.
All right, and we move over to the crisis in the southwest and northwest regions. He says Com Leonard launches book for fostering peace in this festive part of the country. We are talking of a colleague who is with one of the sister television channels over there in Douala.
Yeah, Com Leonard so far has been transformed, or to an extent, a peace journalist, wanting peace at all levels since when he was in Boya and now in Douala. Now, with his book so far, I think it is a good move, and I have been following him for a good period of time. Copies are being requested from not only Cameroon, out of the country. And the question is, can this content of the book be used to bring peace? Because like I always say, peace begins from within. If you don't have peace from within, no matter what you preach on the pulpit or in the stage phase, peace won't come to pass. So if you have peace from within, it moves from you to your family, to your community, and to your nation. That will come is trying to pass out in his book. So peace must be given a chance, but peace starts with you, Larry. It starts with me, Joseph. And if we are able to live in peace, I bet you Cameroon will have peace in the next future.
Thank you so much, Joseph, on that. It's quite fascinating. And we take you to one of your hobby, that's sports, and that's your specialty. The sports newspaper for today, Punch Sports Extra for this day, says Paris Saint-Germain must learn to play without the wonder boy from Cameroon, Kylian Mbappe, as he has moved over to the Spanish side, Real Madrid.
For sure, after 2 seasons of speculations, will Mbappe be playing for Paris Saint-Germain or for a club in England or in Spain? Finally, the answer has now come. He is moving over to Spain for Real Madrid. Now, we have not seen the best of PSG without Neymar and Messi. And now Mbappe is also leaving. Like you said, Mbappe is a key player so far, the top goal scorer this season with Paris Saint-Germain. Leaving them at this time or in the month of June, finally to Real Madrid. Madrid is that club that will probably see the Champions League and give it to you, unlike other clubs in Europe. So they must learn to live or cope without him and look for a replacement as soon as possible.
And still with that sports paper, the paper reports on Victor Osimhen transfer boost for Chelsea, Arsenal. These two teams are actually in a high competition with the Napoli striker.
Yeah, Osimhen, with the form he is now, wants to play Champions League football. And Chelsea, though it's my club from birth, I love them so much. I don't see Chelsea
from birth.
Yes, I don't see Chelsea having that captivating move for a player like Osimhen. because Chelsea, they are going down every day, and I'm not seeing them play the Champions League next season. And you have a side like Arsenal who are competing in the Champions League already in the top 4 in the EPL, and that may just be the end point for Osimhen next season, because a player wants to play more time, wants more exposure, more challenge, and the Premier League will be that place for him to showcase what he's actually made of.
So with that, let's dwell on Osimhen and how with Chelsea and Arsenal, we know these two teams have not been their best for the past years now, couple of years now. So should Osimhen be looked upon as a to choose either the Gunners or the Blues?
Yeah, the Gunners and the Blues are both squads having young players, and looking at what they are aiming for, they are building a team for the future. That's the word of Pochettino, a team for the future. And with the age of a player like Osimhen, he falls within the plan of both clubs. That's why he becomes a very precious jewel in the hands of this particular two, because they know that even though he is still young, he has a greater plan with them in the future, and therefore his signature becomes very, very crucial and important. But now, like I said, I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'll be very happy to see a player like Osimhen playing for Arsenal, because why? Arsenal have that particular promising squad that even though that they are not performing very well in the Premier League, the Champions League, they are having the upper hand, unlike Chelsea that are going to where I don't know, Larry.
Okay, so let's move away from that and we dwell with that safe sports paper for today. Punch Sports Extra for this morning. The paper too comes back to World Cup for the Super Falcon. The Summer Olympics for the
Paris Olympic. But Nigeria must watch out, because they have the champions South Africa waiting for them in the last crucial qualifiers. So if they don't actually play their cards very well, because Cameroon yesterday giving them some hard times in the match yesterday, and I don't see someone like Desiree of South Africa wanting to miss out of the Summer Olympics in Paris and also being African champion. So I think that there's going to be so much for Nigeria to play for against them, without someone like Asita Oshola giving them that particular push up front. I bet you the match would be very difficult for Nigeria.
All right, let's take a stop over with Letemwen. Letemwen reports on the loyalty of the Secretary General of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, to President Paul Biya, and this purported fake news that came out yesterday of Ferdinand Gongo's candidacy for 2025 elections. It was circulated all across the social media handles.
They just smoke without fire, Larry. No, it's not about laughing, because how did that particular flyer come out? Because you can't tell me it was a mistake or a fake news. Even though it is fake news, it is showing that there is something cooking at the back, which we may not see now, but we'll see it.
We equally had that of the president's son.
Yeah, another one again. I think the 3 flyers that were circulated yesterday, and for it to come out the same color, the same
caption.
There is something which we don't know, but we will know at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
Because is he being loyal, and who gave the authorization for it to go out like wildfire? Because it shows that someone somewhere is doing something. Cameroonians think it is fake news. Cameroonians believe that it is just like a propaganda. But let's wait and see. Next year's the election, would it still become fake news, or will we find the cat behind?
According to President Paul Biya, let 2025 come. That is when he will know if he will remain in a 2D or he will be going back to his village of Vomeka, according to that paper of Le Témoin for today. We talk sports on Le Témoin newspaper, this time around with the Cameroon Federation of Volleyball. The president, Serge Abouem, who reassures the Cameroonian public of their firmness to make sure that volleyball succeeds in the country. As you know, Cameroonians are used to football and volleyball, basketball, and others are the other dogs.
Well, volleyball or Pika Volley for the past 2 seasons have not been the best. Two presidents on the state federation, I bet you, Larry, there's no two captains can lead a ship. So it has not been the best so far for the federation. But it's a brand new year. We have seen the federation struggling to make strides to see that we have the glory of yesteryears, both the female and the men, but it's still not going. And again, I ask myself the question: what is the essence of having two presidents on the same federation? Why don't we allow one to be? Because you confuse the players, confuse the supporters, and everyone, and the clubs. So that alone is something which must be addressed. And either one steps down, or there's a fresh election, or the both presidents are being sent packing. And again, FICAVOL is under the Ministry of Sports, like FICAFOL and the rest federation. I expect the minister to actually get into the matter, because it makes no sense that we are having two presidents leading the same federation and the players themselves are confused. Players don't want to play with their whole heart. You sack coaches like a coach who was there before, did a very great job. The one who is there now is doing his best, but we are not seeing the best as we want to see the best, because you can't be going into the AFCON. We're not coming as we used to see. So I think there needs to be dialogue within the FICAVOL Federation, and let's see how we can bring lasting peace to the crisis rocking them.
Okay, we'll end the program with this international tabloid. Let's start first with Vanguard. Vanguard for today says hardship ahead of Nigerian Labour Congress NLC rally protest rocks Edo, Lagos and Osun states in Nigeria. Hardship and the difficult lifestyle that many Nigerians are passing through. As a bag of rice of 50 kilogram now sells at 80,000 naira.
For sure, naira has dropped drastically. Prices of things, of goods increasing. Nigeria has a very vast population, and I bet you poverty may just be knocking on the door, because many people may be able to afford. Like what you have said, kilogram of rice now, or a bag of rice have gone up. Now, what must they do? The labor organizations must ask the government questions. The president must answer this question, because he is the father of a nation and is responsible for the upkeep and the well-being of his children. And therefore, even though we know strikes in Africa always end up in killings, injuries, we expect it to be done in a more peaceful manner, in a more dialogue manner whereby the people understand the government and vice versa.
All right, we'll remain with Vanguard newspaper. This time around, Tinubu, Nigerian president, reduces 263 federal government institutions and outlets to 161 as FEC adopts Osiria's report. We have the multiplicity of organizations, state organizations, federal government organizations. President Tinubu said these things are costing us much, and the cost of governance is quite high. So we are passing through economic hardship. So let's just slide everything to, it was 200 and something, now they are now 163, and many are calling him to actually have a reduction of the ministries of the set ministries in federal government to be reduced, so as for them to sail through these troubled waters of economic hardship.
Yeah, Larry, and that's one thing with federation. It's been so high in federation because every local government needs to enjoy the national cake. And so for the president to actually reduce it to that particular number, I believe they are right in asking for some ministries to also be shut down, because why not inculcate all the schools, be it primary, secondary, higher, into one? The way we have in Cameroon, rather than having a ministry of basic, ministry of this, ministry of that. So I think they are right in asking it, because there are more ministries with more money you spend, and that can be reduced by doing what we call